Hey everyone, it's Lauren here. We're going to have some fun. I thought instead of using a Cutfile, so some people don't have a machine to make a Cutfile, so I thought I'd show you a different way to do that. So I've just printed the word hair in 3 different fonts off my printer, and I'm just having a play with them to see. You could always just print one if you know what you're looking for and could work it out that way, but I wasn't too sure when I was planning. So I've got the 3 fonts here, 3 words, and I'm just grabbing some pattern paper. And you can see there to the left I've got a whole range of photos of my different hairstyles, not all of them but a few of them. My phone made this collage and then I saved it and printed it. So I'm having a play with what could happen. I actually printed the photos to fit the frame, so then they were too small. Things were cut off in the printing, so I've printed them twice. So I've got this little one here that I can use as a little, to lay it out and work out if it's going to be the right one. So I'm just roughly cutting them. I don't need to worry too much. And then I'm thinking, what if I put the title hair, 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 and have these little photos in a few different spots around scattered across the paper. And I'm thinking, okay, this could work, let me see. And then I'm thinking, I don't want the 3 different fonts, that I just want the one. So then narrow it down to those 2, and then I narrow it down to this font. So then I just Magic skipped ahead and the letters are cut out. And that's just roughly cutting. I do leave a little white border just so that it's not cutting into the letter, and then I put it backwards onto the back of the paper and trace it out on the pattern paper that I chose. And because it's backwards, when I cut it out and then flip it over to the side that I want, the pattern that I want, it will be the right configuration to read the letter. Now you could just put it on top of that side that you want, but then because I wasn't using a pencil, I would struggle with having to cut the drawing, the outline. So it's much easier if you do it backwards on the other side of the paper. Just cutting that out, and then I cut the inside of the letter R. So hopefully that, I'm sure this is not rocket science to people, but if it's something new, then that's a little way of doing it. If you want, let me talk like a normal person. You can slow down the video and watch that in more closer to real time if you want to check out that process in a slower way to be able to follow it. So I'm just having a play here with the orange pattern paper. I was wondering if I was going to have the 3 words in 3 different pattern papers, but ultimately I put it down and I don't like the way it's sitting, and I prefer the black and white pattern paper that I started with. So I will continue and cut out all 3 words in that black and white pattern paper from the kit. So this is a September kit that I'm using. Lots of the Cocoa Vanilla These Days collection, which is beautiful. So Magic, I did look at that floral, but ultimately go ahead with this one. It was a little bit hard to cut that paper because there was butterflies, but I have enough left that I can fussy cut butterflies if I so desire. So I'm having a little play now with those photo templates that aren't the right size and whatnot, and having a little think about how the words could sit and how the photos can sit. Like a Cutfile, it takes up a lot of the paper, and you really could just leave it like that. You could just have the photos and the title and be, laughing, but it wouldn't be me if I didn't overcompensate and go crazy. So I pulled out my little stencil here. This one's got lots of little triangles in all different directions, and then I'm pulling out the modelling paste, just the white modelling paste. We did get some gloss sprays in our mixed media kit for September, which you could definitely add to the modelling paste and change the colour. But I do love this ombre watercolour rainbowy pattern paper and didn't want to detract from the colours going on there too much. I just wanted to highlight and give some depth to the background. It was looking too plain for me. So you can see here I'm just putting the modelling paste through the stencil, and I'm doing it so that the edges are all you know, curved and rounded and jagged up and down, rather than it being square to square. Just want it to be popping out in between all the letters and the photos when it's all put together. So you see here, I just pick up my stencil and then move it around, and then just put the modelling paste through as much of it as I want. I am making full triangles, but I'm not making straight edges. So we're just going to finish that off by adding a little bit more in the middle. You do need to be careful because it can smudge the existing, especially if you don't wait for it to dry like I have. And I'm just going to clean that up, and we're going to come back, and I am sticking down the photos. I have stuck the letters for the words, hair, 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 down on foam tape, so they are popping up off the page. And here goes all the photos. I did, excuse me, cut out the proper printed photos and add a little white border with some white paper, just so they stand out, and it brings in more of that white that's in the title. So you can see it's quite easy to, you know, cut a shape. You could draw something, you know, something like a love heart or a star or a circle, or draw a title if, you know, it brings me back to my young days when we were at school and we used to draw and used to handwrite titles in all different, you know, block letters and bubble writing and things like that. That's always fun to do. So you can just have a little play. You don't need to either pull out your Cutfile machine or even have a Cutfile machine. Okay, so this is where I get set on adding every embellishment in the world. Not quite, but a lot. And I start with the Puffy Stickers. They are beautiful. And I get set on making and adding them, and then remember that I do have other layouts to make, and I better not use all the puffies or I'll be very disappointed. Sorry, excuse me. So you can see here I'm just going through the die cuts. I've added a couple of banners up the top there and a couple of the trees. Got butterflies hanging around on the top and the bottom. So I've got some clusters happening on each of the lines of hair. And then I've got this banner up here. So the butterflies are going to start from the bottom left and make their way across the page diagonally to the top right. And then that's going to be the end of it there with those two little banners, just because they were cute and there was that space at the top where it could nestle nicely. Now with the butterflies, I'm adding two little strips of foam tape on their wings and bending them in the middle so that they look like they are in mid-flap of their wings, and add some movement. And I'm just working on this cluster, a little house and a tree. And then this little love heart was just left over. I think it's from the cut apart sheet. I just had a little bit to cut off it, so that's why I think it's from the cut apart sheet. It had a different colour, like a little bit of an edge on it. And there we go. So just sticking it all down. I will bring in a few more other things. Well, I'm guessing you can think of lots of other things, seeing as the video's still got a couple of minutes of adding embellishments. So here I go. I remember that we've got these little enamel buttons, or wood buttons with enamel in them. What are they called? Wooden flare. They've got to have a name. But anyway, I've got two little love heart ones. I wish there was a third one, but the one up the top I use as a butterfly, so that's okay. Patrick, sit still on your chair. Sorry guys, it's a creaky chair. That was bothering me. And then I'm just in between wet glue and double-sided tape to add down these embellies. I move that love heart, and then I think about moving the enamel wooden button. Ultimately, I move it there, but then I move it back later. So I've got all these little puffy, between the teenager on the creaky chair and the rabbit running around on the floor. It's so noisy here. So we've got all these little fluffy, puffy stickers. So we've got some butterflies that added to the butterfly collection going on, and then some puffy love hearts and puffy flowers as well. So it's a sweet little layout with all the little things. And this is where I was really adding a lot of puffies and had to slow down and think about the fact that I would like to use them on other layouts. It's good to use them. Like sometimes, you know, sometimes if you know where you're going to, if you want it, you need it, just use it. Don't hoard it. But I really have got a couple other ideas I want to create with this kit and would be a bit disappointed if all my puffies were gone. So on we go, just some of these little hearts, and I will need to go back and add them with glue, but I didn't want to bother you guys on the camera. And I'm just going to have a look. I've got, pull it up to look at it. We were talking about this last month, how it's good to either stand up and look at your layout or hold it up so that you can take it in at a full front rather than an angle. So when it's laying down on your table, you see it at a different angle. So lifting it up or standing up to look at it just gives you that different perspective to see if it's missing anything. Now I remembered that I needed some journaling. I probably should have thought about that earlier. Alas, I did not. So I'm going to add this journaling spot that's from the cut apart sheet. I'm going to overhang it on the right side just because it's got stuff going on. On the left there where I was trying to make it work, that is a spot that is a bit bare for my liking. It's sort of leaning a bit more to the right, but I do add some flower and die cuts over there shortly. Whether that fixes the problem or not, I probably should have just stopped here, but of course I wanted to go through all the embellies and see if there was something from all the different type of embellies that I wanted to add. So I've got these word stickers here that we got in the kit, the Vicky Boudin ones. And I'm adding some of the black ones. Have used a lot of them in my Traveler's Notebook album that I made. So that's good. It's good to use them up. But it does limit what I can. So this one says don't. Had don't on the front and then I took it. Don't even know. Something like that. But anyway, I took the don't off it because wasn't necessary for this layout of photos of myself. So there we go, adding a black lined border just so that it added in more of that black and kept it all cohesive. The letters of the title that I cut out, I also drew a lined border, a doodly border I guess, on each of the letters just so that they could have shape and formation. I'm looking at the florals here. You can see my really useful box to the top right of the screen, and you can see I've got one section just for the florals, the printables, as well as the die cut embellies that we got in the kit, and then I've got all the rest of the embellies separated into that box as well, along with my pattern paper and thickers. So this is going to come to an end. I'm just having a little play with some florals here. I'm going to add some down to the bottom right here just to fill in that space as well, and have a couple of more of the die cut flowers, not just puffy flowers going on. Well, hopefully this has inspired you to get creating and have a cut file of sorts without pulling out or even having a machine. And hopefully you've got some creative time very recently or some coming up very soon. Have a good day, guys. Bye.